Alright, in this video I'm going to be demonstrating some different ways that you can have input and output using Java, using the keyboard here. So let's get started. So we're going to create a new project. I'm using NetBeans for this, and it's going to be a Java application. I'm going to call this thing input and output demo. And to start, I'm just going to clean up my comments here. Okay. So part one, I'm going to demo the System.in and System.out. So these are your most typical ways of getting input from the keyboard here. You can use the System.in for getting stuff in and System.out for printing things to the screen. They're very, very easy to use, very straightforward. It has a bit of a quirk, which I will try to show you. But let's get started here. So my idea here is I'm going to maybe ask for the length and width of a rectangle, and I'm going to multiply them together and then print out the results. So it's just an area calculator. So first thing I'm going to create a thing called the scanner class. So I'm going to go scanner input equals new scanner bracket system.in. Okay, now I'm going to have to right click this thing because it doesn't know what scanner is, and I'm going to fix the imports. And I'm going to use the java.util.scanner. You could just type that line in and then you won't have any issue, but NetBeans is nice enough to actually allow me to just fix the imports automatically. Now, I called my scanner object input. You can call it whatever you want. You can call it X if you want. It doesn't really matter. The rest of the line has to stay the same, but this could be a different variable name if you'd like. Now, let's go ahead and make some variables for our length and width. So I'm going to use doubles, double length and width. And then what I'm going to do is ask the user for the length and then ask the user for the width. So let's go system.out.print. Please enter the length like that. And I can go length equals input dot. Now, if you take a look, NetBeans is nice enough that it actually gives you this code completion. It shows you all the different things that you can do with it. And what I'm actually looking for is next double, which is right here. So what this does is it returns a double from the keyboard. So what it'll do is it's going to, the system out print, what that will do is it'll print out, please enter the length. And what will happen is the cursor will stay right here, and it'll allow me to type the number right here at the bottom. You'll see that happen. So if I run it right now, it says please enter the length. Click in here, my cursor goes there, and I type in 6, hit enter. If I put print ln, okay, it's the same thing, but watch what happens. Print ln, basically what it does is it puts a carriage return or an enter at the end of this string. So if I were to do it, it just looks a little bit different. Oh, actually it didn't go down. Oh, I can actually type anywhere I want, but oh no, when I do type it goes below there. Yeah, so println, what it does is it basically puts an enter at the end of the line. I was able to click here still, but when I typed it went down to this. So usually for an input, I'll keep it as print, just like this. Okay, the next thing I'll do is I'm going to get the next one. So print, please enter the width. Okay, same thing, and then width equals input dot next double. Same exact thing. And that should give us both our numbers. And then I'm going to go double area equals length times width. And the times is the star symbol. And then finally I'll print it out. System.out println bracket the area equals, and I'll attach in area. So this plus sign, what it's going to do is it's going to sort of attach or concatenate the variable area right here. It's in black. It's going to attach it to this string or this sentence that I've written right here. So it's going to sandwich them together. So this should be a completed program. It should work. Let's try it out. Okay, so I do 5 times 4 should give me 20. That's perfect. Okay, so this is how you would do it with the system in. Now there is something weird. I'm going to show you just sort of an error and how I would deal with it. And I've noticed this error before, and this is what I will do. So if you end up using the system in a lot and you start asking for doubles and then strings at the same time, it behaves kind of weird. So let me show you here. Let's get a string for the name of the user. And I'm going to say name, or we'll do this first. System.out print. Please enter your name. I know it seems weird that I'm asking for the name in between the length and the width, but I just want to show you the error. And so we'll go name equals input dot. Now for the name, I'm going to use next line. Okay. We could try using next. That might work, but let's go with next line here. That'll definitely work. Okay. And then I'll just print out what the name is. So system.out println your name is plus name. Okay. So we enter length 5. And it didn't even give me a chance. It didn't even give me a chance to type my name. You see that? That's kind of strange, right? So it just sort of skipped through it. It didn't even have any kind of chance to do this. So if I move this instead and put it at the top, put it right there instead, it should be fine. And I'm going to explain what the error is here. So Johnny is my name. Okay, 5 and 6 works perfectly, right? But again, if this occurs after a next double, it's going to glitch out. It won't give me a chance to type my name. So if I type 5, it just immediately went right away to the next thing. I don't have my name. It says my name is blank. Okay. The reason this happens, at least this is the best to my understanding, is when you use something like next line, okay, what it does is it reads in what's called the next token. Okay, so whatever you type in, like in this case, the token was 5, or if I type my name as Johnny, Johnny would be the next token. What next line will do is it will actually also consume the enter. So if you think about like your input, what's happening is I'm typing the name Johnny, and then I'm hitting enter. And enter is like an invisible character. In Java, it's the character is actually this. It's a /n. So that actually is sitting at the end of the line. And when I use next line, what it does is it sort of gets rid of this. It consumes it. So this is no longer there. When I use next double, though, that enter symbol stays there in the keyboard buffer. So when I type 5 and hit enter, the 5 goes into the length, but the enter is sitting in the keyboard buffer. So as soon as I try to read the next line, the enter gets applied here. So it's like I hit enter on it because that's still sitting there waiting to be used. So it's kind of strange. So there is a fix for it. And so if it's glitching out like this, what I would do is this. Next double is fine if you're only working with numbers. Like if you're only dealing with just numbers and you're not mixing and matching strings in there, you're not going to have an issue. You do have the issue though if you're trying to get a string in there as well. So the way I would fix it is this. I would do something like this. I would go double dot parse double bracket input dot next line, close the bracket. So what double dot parse double does, this method right here, this function, what it does is it converts a string into a double. And next line, what that does is it reads in a string. So it reads in a string and it also consumes the enter. So it would read in, for example, 5 and then enter. But because I'm going to read it in as the next line, it's not going to know that it's the number 5. It's going to see the character 5. So it doesn't know that it's a number. So when I use double.parse double, then it's converted it into the number 5. So it works a bit better if you do it this way. This should fix my issue. I'll do the same thing with the one down here. Why is it not liking that? Oh, an extra bracket, sorry. So if you use next line all the time, it will always consume the enter and you won't have any of these problems. It's just the only way you can use next line with you're trying to get numbers, you have to convert it using double.parseDouble, or another one you could use is integer.parseInt. So let's see if this actually behaves the way I want it to now. So do 5, name Mr. Rosen. It says my name is Mr. Rosen, and we got 6. Beautiful. It worked no problem this time. And again, the reason it's working now is because when I had that 5 there, the input.nextLine is retrieving the 5 and it's consuming the enter, and then the double.parseDouble is converting it into the number 5 and storing it into length. So if you don't do that, again, then you just have this. Instead of next line, you just put next double. Then it glitches out. So it doesn't give me a chance to type my name in. So it's a weird kind of a thing. Like, I'm not sure if it's a bug. It's just the way that it's designed, and you just need to be aware of how it's actually designed. So it's just something to be aware of. So I'll just fix that and put it back here. Okay, so there's how we do lengths and widths like that. Now I'm going to do the same program, but I'll do it version 2, and I'll use the JOptionPane. So the same basic thing. So for the JOptionPane, the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to go like this. I'm going to go string length str and width str. I'm going to make these temporary variables first, and I'll show you how this works. So if I'm going to get input from the keyboard with the JOptionPane, it's going to look like this. Length str equals JOptionPane dot show input dialog bracket. There's all kinds of extra things I don't need here. There's a lot of different options you can have. I'm just going to keep it as simple as possible and just put it as a sentence here. Please enter the length. Just like that. Now the JOptionPane, it already got imported up here. So it did it automatically for me. Sometimes it might go red and it might have to fix your imports here. But the one you got to import is called javax.swing.JOptionPane. So that's the line you need for this to work. Now, the JOptionPane, when you use this as an input dialog box, what it does is it's going to make a pop-up box come up, and you got to type in something. You type in a length or whatever, right? But it always comes in as a string. So what I usually do if I'm dealing with numbers in JOptionPane is I'll actually have something similar, but I put str here. And the reason I put str is so that in my head, I know it's the string version of the length. Okay, so then in order to get it into the real length variable, what I have to do is this. Length equals double dot parse double of length str. So it's sort of like a two-stage process. So I'm going to get it in as a string with this line here, and then I have to convert it into a double, just like that. So let me show you what that one looks like. Oh, this is the first version, right? Name, Rosen 6. Okay, so here's the first pop-up box. It's coming. It takes a second sometimes. There we go. So this is what it looks like. This is as simple as you can make a JOptionPane. It's got a default logo or icon here. You can change all kinds of things. You can change the title up here. You can research a little bit of that. It's just different arguments you put in here. But let's type in a length of 9. And that's it. I didn't do anything with the new length. So let's go ahead and continue the program. And let's get the other ones as well. So the width. So width str equals JOptionPane dot show input dialog. Please enter a width. And then the width, I'm going to convert it using double dot parse double of width str. And then finally, I'm going to get my area again, and I'm going to reuse this area variable here. I'm not going to redeclare it, so I'm just going to go area equals length times width, and then I'll print it out using the JOptionPane. Now, printing out with the JOptionPane, is a little different than System.out. So the way we do it for this one is we go JOptionPane, JOptionPane dot show message dialog bracket. The first thing I'm going to put here is null, and then you put your message here. The area equals plus area. So the first argument here, this is just it says it has to be a component called parent component. You're going to use this a lot, like if you had a J-frame or something like that in there. I don't often put an argument in this spot. So the simplest way is just to put null, and it'll pop up no problem, just like this. So let's take a look. Again, this is the first version. Okay, so this is version number 2. We'll do 7 times 8, so it should be 56. So the width is 8. The area equals 56. So again, this is as simple of a JOptionPane as you can possibly have. It doesn't have a title up here. It has this default Java icon here. There's a lot you can do with this, believe me. If you start digging around with the JOptionPane, show message, like there's so many different versions of it, and there's a lot of different options inside of here. So I mean, again, I'm just showing you the dumbest, easiest way of creating one, but it's definitely not the best. So this is the 2 ways I was going to show you how to get user input and output from the keyboard. Again, the system in is probably the simplest, and the system out is definitely very easy to print. But sometimes you might want a pop-up box, and if you're going to use pop-up boxes, you can use the JOptionPane for input and the JOptionPane for output. So I hope you learned a little bit about input and output in Java, and yeah, just a little demo to help you out.